Welcome back, everybody. Poll question. We're getting some more heat on this because there should add a caveat with the Twins back on TV. Will you watch the games? Well, you can watch if you're going to pay more. Again, the statement that was sent earlier from Midco is that they will be back on starting on Thursday, August 1. The Twins are off. They don't play again until Friday, but they will not be on Midco, the TV3 package. They'll be on Midco TV4, which is a higher package, and I would imagine they ain't giving it to you for free. That's not how it works. So waiting for more info from Midco, and if we get that before we say goodbye, we'll pass that along. It's our pleasure to welcome in studio guy we've had on numerous times, and he's heading back to Indianapolis. Grant Gigstad joins us as the head coach of the Fargo Little Leaguers for 2024. You were just a bystander last year and you went to Williamsport. That's the last.
I did not go.
I thought you were going.
No, it was tricky.
But this is your second go around on doing this.
Correct.
So, and we were just visiting off air about it. Before we get to all that, have you been able to watch the Twins at home? Do you have DirecTV?
I am
Did you
one of the few who has watched the Twins.
How many people, though? You're a huge baseball nut.
Yeah.
The fact that they've been off the air for 3 months, I guess is another word, 3 months is unbelievable.
It's killer.
And there's no wonder the attendance stinks
all
this
you want
year,
to do
right?
is throw the game, and no one can watch the game. So
half the teams in baseball have been off the air for 3 months. It's just, you and I are both baseball nuts. It's hard to fathom another sport doing that,
right.
you know?
Right. You're not going to see a football or a Sunday where there's no football.
No way.
So.
That's just never going to happen. And now we throw in this, that it's, okay, it's back, but it's going to be on a different package. I don't know how many more people will willingly sign up to do that, you know? You're just making it hard to watch.
I know.
And the Twins are good. Like, they've got...
You know, but they're good.
That's the problem. That's why I say every day on the show, I'm showing the highlights because I don't know how many people can see the games. Right. That's what we've been doing. So, how's the summer been? Been busy, I imagine,
been busy.
right?
We've been plugging away. A lot of baseball.
So, for people that don't know, with the historic year last year, are there any players back? Are there players back from last year's team on this year's team?
No players, no coaches, brand new everybody. So. We're plugging away with a new group.
So I know the coach thing has rotated because you did it a few years ago. Player-wise, though, Little League put in an age requirement, now a few years ago, because it used to be 13. That's done now. It's just 12.
The simple way to look at it is if you turn 13 at any point during the Little League season, you're too old.
You're done.
So you're basically a 12-year-old or under.
And so there was no eligible players that could, at that age bracket, come back and play this year.
Correct.
So with that going in, does that make it harder, easier? Tell me about the challenge of you taking over a team that's completely brand new.
I don't think it makes it any different. I mean, it's just kind of a typical thing. You don't have a lot of 10, 11-year-old kids that are that great that are going to be able to come back year after year. So you kind of know it's your one shot. And I think that's awesome. These kids gear up for this Little League season, knowing the fact that this is my chance. Like, it's Williamsport or bust. So it's a great thing.
So is there pressure? You want to be the guy after the team, right? I'm sure Chad, Hansen has told you that. Like, he got all the love last year, and Melton was all over. He's all over our show.
Yeah.
Now you're the next one's up.
I mean, to follow that coaching staff, how can you do it? I don't know that you can. The kids, there honestly was not a lot of pressure. They all understood the success of last year. We have one sibling of a brother. Blaze Ostrom went last year, and we have Louis on our team.
Nice.
So that's been a nice kind of connection the last few weeks. And Blaze is our biggest fan. Like, the kid just wants success for us, which is awesome. But these kids don't really feel a lot of pressure. They know that they're a totally different team and different year. So,
I'll talk about your team here after the break. Just the impact of what last year's team did. You and I visited before they left. I think, granted, was even bigger than even I thought. The fact they got brought to everywhere. They were at a Twins game. They were at the Bison game. They were at a UND hockey game. I mean, it was as huge as it gets.
Yeah, and you could almost argue their season never ended. They just kept going and going and going, which is great. And it's great for those kids. I mean, they'll never forget that experience, which is awesome. But it shows you the power of Little League baseball in this. It's America. We're a baseball country.
When they got at the Dome for the Bison game, and I saw Todd before the game. I mean, they got a standing O. That didn't happen all season long. Send chills up your spine a little bit on that.
And to be a 12-year-old kid walking into that field.
Or at Target Field, which, again, they're meeting their heroes.
Right.
That had to be surreal in my mind.
Just amazing experience for them.
minute it really hit for me wasn't when the last out was made, was actually seeing them in the parade in Williamsport and then on the field. What about for you when you were watching it?
I mean, kind of we talked about it last year, but to see those kids catching baseballs, signing them, and throwing them back to kids in a parade,
Yeah.
They're 12 years old.
Yep.
I mean, they were insane. And honestly, to see those, I've known that coaching staff a long time, and to see them on TV doing those things with those kids,
Yeah.
like, it's just amazing to see. And I had the opportunity to talk to Chad during the year a little bit, and during his time in Williamsport last year, just to see and hear the experience for them. Like, we always talk about, it's great as a coach, it's better as a dad to be able to go
Right.
through and see that experience.
And they got to go to the Major League Baseball game that was there as well, which that's all part of it is just a great deal. And they got another game they scheduled out of it too, right?
Yeah, just to go and play a team from Czech Republic.
Czech Republic,
or
I believe
wherever
they played,
were.
yeah.
So, I mean, great.
And that you mentioned that, so those are memories they're going to have. I mean, forever. They were the first. There's something with that's going to be around here forever.
Exactly.
As long as people talk about it.
And no one, whether they won or lost, no one's going to remember that. They're going to remember that they made it there and that they represented Fargo, North Dakota.
What I remember more is the regional championship game. That's the one. Yeah, I remember a bit about the games in Williamsport, but the championship game in Indianapolis, that's the one, at least for me, that sticks.
And I think it's interesting. I had a son that went through it a few years ago. Blaze Ostrom, we had come to practice, and he talked about Indianapolis for him was like the experience.
Yeah.
Like because Williamsport, you're getting pulled a million different directions, and he said you really get to enjoy the game of baseball in Indianapolis, and they treat you like kings, and it's not a lie. They treat you great there, and I can't wait for these kids to experience that.
So this is your second rodeo. Tell me about coming back. Was it, I absolutely, if you asked me, I'm going to do it again, or did you have to have your arm twisted? Or
I mean,
tell me about it.
I need to convince Alex Sumner to make me the coach every year. That's the way I look at it. But it is super rewarding to work with 12-year-old kids that want to be sponges. This experience for my older son is when the first time I coached. The experience for him, priceless, and to go through it with him, priceless. To have to do it with my second son, chokes you up. I mean, it's going to be an amazing experience.
I remember asking you that 3 years ago when you went with your oldest about, hey, being coach and being dad. What are your lessons you learned from that? Now to do it again a second time over.
I have two totally different children. So my older one, he can deal with the abrasive me, the coach me. My younger one, we wear a different hat. We treat each other, we handle each other well, but we understand the relationship. But it's a different kid,
Dynamic.
and that's awesome.
Yep.
I to recognize that and to be able to deal with that is challenging for me at times, but thankfully I'm happily married and she takes care of that.
Let's break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about your team and the upcoming Midwest Regional for the Fargo Little Leaguers. Grant Gigstad joining us here in studio. We're back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Baseball heavy Hot Mic here on this Tuesday morning. So we had Don Bryan on before you. You guys have a long history together.
Donnie was my 16-year-old bomber coach, him and Bill Eibach, and I've known Donnie since I was a kid. I coached with Donnie at South for years. I've coached against Donnie. Great baseball guy. We got a lot of great baseball guys in this community, though. So.
No doubt. I don't know if you were driving over, but the year we've had just now, even from the Little Leaguers to Matt Strom pitching in the All-Star game. Drew Rarick is going to go to Texas. He pitched high school baseball. That's got to be huge for the guys you're coaching right now, right?
Right. Yeah. Drew was kind enough,
Yeah, he came by.
He came by, and Drew doesn't need to advertise that. Like, Drew is a great kid. I've known him since he was a little kid. I've coached him a little bit. You ask him to show up, he's there, and just kind of talk to the kids about his experience. Not even about the fact of I'm going to Texas, I might get drafted, but we told the boys finally, you can ask questions, and so how hard do you throw? Oh, I got clocked at 98. Oh my gosh, 98.
I had the same reaction when he told me.
100%. But he's a great kid, and the fact that he's done those things is willing to come and hang out with our kids. It says a lot about him.
I mean, here's the photo of it. I mean, that's like superstar treatment that he got that day from your team.
Yeah, and you can't wipe the smiles off those kids' face. So it was a great experience for them. So,
and he was on the first team. I joke with him when he came by in studio right before the draft. Like, this is where that was my introduction to you, was on that first Little League team that was this close to making it to Williamsport. That's where the Fargo lineage, Grant, really started.
Yeah, and it's honestly the team that people go back and compare themselves to, because I mean, you look at some of the Legion baseball players. There's some absolute studs from that team, and there's going to be a lot of success stories from that team, and it's great motivation for a 12-year-old kid.
And not all of them are playing baseball. Some are doing other sports.
Yeah, I mean, you got football players
right?
on India. It's just crazy to see some of the ability that those kids have.
That was a shake your head deal. When you see a guy like Matt Strom, and I was talking with Donnie about this guy that you remember pitching in high school, to see this steady rise where now he's a Major League Baseball all-star. And he came out of West Fargo, North Dakota. He's playing in the EDC. It's just it's got to be fantastic for your group.
Yeah, Hans Anderson, who's a Davies coach, he's actually coaching along this team with me.
Yeah,
and we talk all the time. Matt Strom was a tall, skinny kid who threw hard in high school, who absolutely worked his tail off to get to where he is. And it's a great lesson to these kids about, you put the time and effort in, the sky's the limit, because his ability is crazy.
All right, so it all begins for the Fargo team on Friday in Indianapolis. You're not the first game out of the chute. You've had that before. Yeah. You're playing 3 o'clock on Friday against, ironically enough, the team from Sioux Falls. You know these. It's a different team, obviously, but
Correct.
You know the Sioux Falls Little League well.
Yeah, it's a battle between North and South Dakota, and we've talked a little bit about the rivalry between the two states with the boys. So we'll hope we're ready to go.
It doesn't end with it's not just Bison Jacks. It's carried over to everything.
That's right.
So the teams here, there's Davenport, Iowa, Riverton, Kansas, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. You and I were visiting off air. I don't believe they've gone before. I don't remember a team from there.
There's, not in my recent memory do I remember them.
Webb City, Missouri, they've been there before. You guys have played them. South Sioux City, Nebraska is there. We mentioned Sioux Falls, and then Kenosha, Wisconsin. I don't know if have they gone before?
No, and Wisconsin is relatively new to our region. They switched that a year or two ago. So it's
because they used to be in the Great Lakes region, right?
So you show up there, and what people don't realize, we're going to play every other day because the Great Lake Regional is at the same location.
Yeah.
So we'll have an 8-team tournament, and we'll see where we fall.
So you coached in 2021, and we were visiting when you got here, that this was all new because that was still, we're dealing with COVID, that was a completely different experience. And I remember you were on the show and telling us about the logistical, I don't know if nightmare is too strong a word, but the hoops you had to jump through that year.
A lot of hoops, testing when you showed up. I remember I think we were playing a game, and we came back, and Kentucky was across the hallway from us in the hotel. Well, a kid on their team got COVID. They had to leave the tournament. So, it was just kind of a crazy time to look back and see all the different things. So this will be a totally different experience for me, and just to see what it's like, in a normal setting.
Just in interaction-wise.
Right.
The guys, the boys like to interact with the other teams from the other states. You didn't have the chance to do that.
It just wasn't an opportunity at that point in time. And honestly, we didn't care, because if we could play baseball, no one cared, and everyone was willing to do it. But to see what it's going to be like, where these kids can interact with all these different kids from different states, will be exciting.
You mentioned to me in commercial as well, you're leaving tomorrow. You got a nice ride as well for the trip to Indianapolis.
Our parents, our players, this community has done an outstanding job supporting Little League baseball. They raise money for a bus, and honestly, the kids are looking more forward to the bus and their hotel room experience than the game of baseball. But we got to remember they're 12 years old, and that's the dream for them.
So, TV, movie, is that what they got hooked up on the bus here, or what?
Who's bringing the PS5 or the Xbox? So it's a different world. We're not playing cards in the back of the bus anymore.
What about for you? What's the entertainment now on the bus trip for yourself?
I'm hoping to get a good nap in on the bus ride.
See, that's all we've talked about on the show. Tim Polisek was talking about changing NDSU's practice schedule for more sleep. I'm with you. If you can get it, do it, man.
100%.
Right?
100%.
This team, when was the first time you got actually a chance to first practice with them? When did you guys first come together?
Yeah, we've interacted and been around each other since the spring. So these kids play league on Tuesday and Thursday. So to be honest with you, they're split up amongst 3 teams. Our 3 coaches, Hans Anderson, Chase Freeze, and I, we each have a team. And big props to Chase Freeze, who's playing for the league championship tonight. So nice. He's got a shot. We got to see if he steps up and gets the job done. He might be running the team this week if he does. So, but they work and interact with a league team, and then we play and we practice and do our own thing. So these kids are super busy. It's a lot of baseball to ask of them, and I always tell them, you guys stick a baseball, and there's not one complaint about it. They're dialed in, ready to go.
To have this now, this has become routine almost. Alex and I talked about this, Alex Sumner, about 5 years ago, about this becoming a big deal for sports fans in the area. Now that certainly one's made it, that was the goal, to get one to Williamsport. Now does it feel accustomed, okay, not necessarily it's going to happen every year, but sports fans have it on the calendar that, hey, this is happening again. It's time to pay attention to what's going on.
Right. I mean, I hope you and I have talked in the past that the end of the summer kind of marks, you see the beginning of college football.
Yeah.
You see the Little League World Series. I want people to recognize, hey, Fargo's got a team in the regional. Let's watch them and support them and see what these kids can do, because there's a lot of talented kids around here playing the game of baseball, which is great.
So the schedule is you guys play Friday, and then if you win, you'll play Saturday. Lose, you play Sunday. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay.
One
Just
day
go when
at a
you
time.
show up, right?
One day at a time.
The experience out there, what will you tell your team? I know it was different, but you've been out there. What will you tell them about, hey, the cameras are here. It's a different deal now.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that, about you got to play loose and you got to just relax. Like, once you get out on the field, you got to do a dance for ESPN before the inning starts. You got to do these different. It's just a different world, and you guys got to be able to adjust to it. And honestly, we have coached these boys hard. There's been a lot of coaching with these kids this year. There's just a lot that they needed to deal with and grow in the game of baseball. And we've talked about the fact, once we get there, let's just go out and play the game and have fun. Like, you guys they've accomplished their goal, which is awesome.
Has the skill level improved, Grant, over with Fargo Youth Baseball coming about the last 5 or 6 years? Have you seen that up close?
Yeah, the use of the attic, the ball yard, the facilities that we have in this town now have made baseball just grow by leaps and bounds. So, I mean, big props to everybody who's doing it. Fargo Youth Baseball, Alex Sumner, Scott Krabenhoff, Zach Frazier, like Carson Spees, the amount of work that they do for this program is insane. So kids from 7 to 8 years old on up are getting the experience that a lot of people didn't get.
And the fact that they can do it in February or in December is unheard of even 5-6 years ago. Now it's become routine, right?
And to be honest with you, there's a lot of people like me who are greedy. We want more. We want bigger, more. I want a bigger facility. I want more. I want to give these kids the opportunity that a lot of these other kids are getting in different places of the country.
Well, and just climate-wise, it's, for some of those teams, and I know Chad was telling me about that, I mean, facing teams from California, from Arizona, from Texas, from Georgia. I mean, it's night and day. You can't compare to what, because they play 90 games. Yeah. You guys are lucky. Yeah. You mentioned you played 40, I think.
It was a great spring for us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get that very often, and the fact that we had it, I mean, we're extremely lucky to have that opportunity.
Are you ready for your first ESPN interview? I'm trying to get you ready for that.
I'm going to try to behave this year. That's my goal. It's always my goal. Just behave. Don't freak out on anybody too much.
Do you guys get mic'd up? Do the coaches do for the regional?
When I was there last time, we were a game away from getting mic'd up. There's some dispute about when and where we get mic'd up, so we'll find out what happens when we get there.
Now, you were mentioning this. No team has not won at least one game.
Don't mention that.
I'm just telling you. You brought it up. We had you on like 4 days in a row when you were last out there.
The success of this city when it comes to baseball has been really awesome. It's been awesome.
And that's the part that's exciting, just to go out there. And I know that you don't want to put too much pressure on. Go out there and just have fun and have a great experience with it. But hey, if you end up winning the game, that's a nice bonus that comes out of it.
And honestly, we told the kids we got 2 more games at least together. We're going to go out and compete and do everything we can, and the chips are going to fall where they may. As long as we give it our all, that's really all we care about. And to be a good representation of this community is the ultimate goal.
Have you felt the support? You think that'll happen when you guys get out there around the community?
I mean, the community support's been awesome. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people asking questions, a lot of people donating money, a lot of people doing all the things that we need to do, and it's great. We have an outstanding set of parents that are really doing all this stuff.
This is a major time commitment for you as well. I mean, I know how much you love the game, but to go and do this is above. I'm not saying it because you're here, but it goes above and beyond. Tell me about that, because it's not just, hey, I'm going to sign up and do it for an hour every night.
It is. I mean, our coaching staff, we have 2 teachers on staff, Hans Anderson and myself, which is awesome. It gives us the flexibility. Chase Freeze is an all-star because Chase Freeze will work and then he'll come and do baseball. And he loves it. We all love the game, and it's for the kids ultimately. And like I said before, it's for the kids. Those 12 kids are our kids. But to experience with your own child, too, is an amazing experience.
Well, I remember a couple years ago, you got done. It was like, I think you were starting school, 2 days later?
We came back, and it was right back into school mode. So
that's what you're hoping for, right? You want to miss school like the guys did last year.
I'll take a disappearing act for the beginning of school, but we'll go 1 game at a time.
From watching it from afar, the best, who has the best state right now in the United States? Who produces the best? Hawaii's got it rolling, right? They're really good.
Yeah,
California.
I mean, California is always solid, but it's amazing to see some of those, the New Yorks or some of those communities. I mean, they have the population, obviously, but But baseball, it feels like it's just getting stronger and stronger everywhere you look. So
the game is as good as it could be. To dovetail off our conversation to end things, like it's strong everywhere. The attendance-wise is great. Minor leagues are doing really well. Majors, obviously, it's the disconnect, though. I still can't figure it out on why it's not more popular nationally than it is.
You and I could run Major League Baseball down, the world would be a better place.
Okay, what would be the first thing you'd do?
Well, the first thing I would do is make streaming accessible for everybody.
All right, there we go.
It's a no-brainer.
There we go.
It's a no-brainer.
Yep. Okay. Would you keep the ghost runner in extra innings?
That was a very hard adjustment for me. I like old school baseball.
Yeah, it's out.
I don't know how I'm going to handle a robotic umpire one day either, or strike zone. I don't know if I'm going to be able
Would
to
you keep the DH?
I would, because it gives us imagine this year without Shohei Ohtani.
Correct. I've come around on that one. You're telling me about I'm on that. I was not. I'm with it because of that. I was always, because I'm a National League guy. I grew up, the pitchers always hit. I appreciated the double switch. I appreciated that part of the game. That's no longer, you don't need to worry about that.
I love Greg Maddux, and I loved watching him swing a bat, whether it was good or bad. I just was entertained by it.
Clayton Kershaw can hit.
Yes.
I don't know if people know that. He can.
Paul Skeens can hit.
Yes. There's another guy, people should know. I don't know if he were to walk down the street in Fargo, how many people would know who that is?
5.
Real? Out of how many?
Well,
out of 100? Out of 100.
Which is
5. That's not good.
Which is not good. Not good.
How many would know Ohtani, honestly?
Great. Yeah, that's a great question.
That's what we're talking about with baseball's got it. We'll save that. Next time you're on, we'll do that, all right?
That's another story
we'll
for
run
another
that.
day.
Thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for
Safe
having
travels, man, and good luck. You know where we're going to be. And we'll check in. We'll do that again. You win, we're calling.
You were my good luck charm last time, so.
It's great to see you, man. Good luck.
Thanks
Grant Gigstad joining us, the Fargo Little League coach. They leave tomorrow for Indianapolis as they open up play on Friday. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up right after this.